Okay.
Okay. Yes.
For real next time? This time? The next question? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yay. This is always my favorite type question. So at Hot Perspectives, you know how important it is for me to champion courageous conversations, honest, open, transparent conversations with yourself and with others.
Mm-hmm.
It's really how we're going to get through the hard stuff. So this question is, what is one courageous conversation FranDev leaders should be having today?
One courageous conversation that FranDev leaders should be having today.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I think, can I get to FranDev leaders specifically in a second?
Yes.
Can I talk about the organization first?
Yes.
Because we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist to support the organization as
Absolutely.
a whole, and our goals have to be very aligned to the organization's goals. That's our function in a business in FranDev, right?
Mm-hmm.
We help the business grow, continue, perpetuate. I think a courageous question that leaders of organizations need to ask is perhaps why we are not devoting resources, or why we are not opening ourselves up to considering new ways of doing things when it comes to the human experience, when it comes to inclusion, all of these different things. Like what is the real heart of it? Why is this either something we're sort of opting out of? Why is this something that becomes just part of the people team's role? Why is this something that's just extra work on the corner of somebody's desk? You know, are we actually making tangible moves as an organization? And most of the case, I think the question is, why not? And that's a courageous conversation we need to have. In no other part of our business do we get the luxury of complacency. Everything else about business changes and evolves over time.
Yes.
And our approach to inclusion as a whole has to as well. Right? If we say we're about growth, if we say we want to evolve and remain at the top of our fields, we have to have those conversations too. And I know sometimes people go, oh, it's political. It's not political. It's people. It's human beings. It's not that hard. We are overcomplicating it if we make it political. It's just about people. And I don't care what your business model is, you need people to fund it.
Yes.
So that's something you should care about. So that's at the organizational level. At the FranDev level, okay,
let me chime in. Let me chime in because, you know, we know that there is 100% consequence to action and inaction when it comes to building inclusive brands. We have seen many examples of it over the last couple of months. You know, some organizations, businesses on the brink because of it, seeing serious declines in business because people hold the power. We have the purchasing power. Consumers have the power. And so if you are not focused on and prioritizing making your brand inclusive and making the image and reputation of your brand and the foundation of your brand inclusive, you can easily get left behind.
You can.
And I'd like to see as well more leaders bring inclusion and what it means to be inclusive into more conversations across the entire ecosystem, not just with the pretty marketing images that get put out there.
Yeah, so to answer the question specifically for FranDev, so one courageous conversation we can have specifically in FranDev, I think one question that you could ask is, does our process match our marketing? Does our process match our marketing? What we say to people, is that what they actually experience? If we say that we have all of these support systems and this type of culture, do we actually, right? And I mean that like,
how would you know?
The system. How would you know? That's a fantastic question.
How would you know? Because I'll tell you, I've met some folks that think they're doing the most, the greatest. And then when you start peeling back the layers of the thing, or you ask the people that they claim have these connections and feelings about their brands, there's a disconnect there. And so I'm really curious to know your answer.
Fantastic question.
How would you know?
So it's really important to me, ever since I stepped into the world of FranDev, there's sort of this, I never really know if it's fair to say that FranDev is sales. I think it's kind of like sales, but it's not traditional sales. It's this weird blend of recruitment and sales and everything else.
Yeah.
But any person selling anything should know their product. Mm-hmm. And so I think it is the responsibility of people working in FranDev to be informed and stay informed on the rest of their organization. We are the face. Yeah. We are the face to people coming and exploring, you know, investing, sometimes their life savings, betting on themselves, yes, but also betting on our brand. And so it's our responsibility to stay connected to the other departments, because we represent them in the early stages. Then there's so many benefits to that, right? If you're very well connected, you can help manage candidate expectations. You set the tone for the rest of the relationship as you hand off to training and ops. But, you know, you as a FranDev leader, are you aware of the different conversations happening around the rest of your organization? Are you plugged into your marketing and ops teams? Do you have good relationships with your coworkers and leaders of those other departments?
And are those people talking about your brand in the same way?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's something that's a bit of internal work that I think should be done by an ethical and responsible FranDev representative or leader. Yeah. You have to know what you're representing. And a great thing as well, one thing that I did each time I joined a new franchisor, I asked to do parts of the process that a candidate would. So for example, a lot of different brands have, depending on what they call them, a workshop, a discovery day, an in-restaurant experience. I've worked in restaurants. I know what a kitchen looks like, right? You don't have to teach me how to turn on the deep fryer. I know. Yes. But I wanted to go through those days exactly as my candidates do. So I wanted to see what the process felt like in the parts that are not directly under my control, the parts that are collaborative. I wanted to see and feel it. So that's something that I would encourage if you're someone in FranDev and you've not gone through those types of parts of the process that we ask our candidates to do. You might learn something. Ask, is there a monthly marketing meeting I can sit on? Ask is there a monthly ops meeting I can even just be a fly on the wall. Yeah. And know when it's your space to pipe in and advocate for your candidates and things like that. But know when it's your space to learn as well, so that you can be a sponge and absorb this information and represent it accurately to your candidates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another big piece, an important piece of that ecosystem, I mean, I know you mentioned across departments and how important that is. And I love that you brought in even the in-store experience, because especially in restaurants, if you've only ever experienced it from the customer side and you've never been behind the counter or in the back kitchen, it can be very overwhelming. And it's a good idea to get a sense of, like, is this actually for me? Is this a space that I can see myself spending time in, learning about? Because I've also had potential candidates drop off, having owned that part, the training in-store experience part, operations interview part. I've had candidates say, you know what, it was a lot more than I expected. I can't imagine having to make, this product every day. I didn't realize there were so many steps involved. I don't actually know if this is something that I'm interested in anymore.
And that's okay. It's okay that can be a candidate drop-off point. If it's not for them, I'm glad we know that before we sign an agreement.
Exactly.
But could we have known that even earlier in the process? If the person in the initial stages of candidate-facing conversations could accurately represent what happens in the business, could we have saved everybody time and resources even earlier? And it's okay. Sometimes they'll still get to that point and it might still be a small drop-off. Yes. And again, drop-off is not always a bad thing.
Right.
But we want to be efficient. We want to be respectful of everyone's time and our own time, right? The more that you are able to represent in an accurate sense to candidates early on, the better for everybody. So that's something that someone really should do.
Yeah.
But jumping kind of back, if I can, to courageous conversations. So again, just that, I think the one we kind of did this, which
that happens
awesome.
on the show.
It's okay. It happens in my life. So that one we just talked about was, are we walking the talk? Are we actually, marketing what we're doing from a FranDev perspective? But I think another conversation that we can ask, if we have the courage internally, if we, if we're brave enough, are we brave enough to commit to long-term strategies? I think sometimes in FranDev, we are sometimes moving at the speed of light, handling hundreds, if you're lucky, of candidates. Sometimes FranDev teams tend to be a little under-resourced. We can feel sometimes in different phases of business too. Sometimes it's seasonal.
And sometimes a lot of that's how a lot of emerging brands
absolutely.
And brands go up and down in cycles too, right? They
emerging brands, you might not have the luxury of having anyone dedicated to FranDev. Exactly. I've seen that, and I get it. Yeah. So, and I get it. When you're stuck kind of in the tunnel vision of I just need to get through this day, you might not be thinking about how to build long-term strategy and how to bring different people from different backgrounds into your network. So I think I'm talking about things like mentorships or special programs or even joint venture, these types of things that are going to take a little bit of time and resources to develop and maybe even have a cost to them. Are we brave enough to make that type of investment that won't pay off for 3 years, 5 years, however many years? Right. But are we brave enough also to consider what the benefit of that could be? Are we brave enough to consider where we could be in those 5 years or however many years because we are investing in people who are going to help us and be our partners in continuing the legacy of our brand? So are we brave enough to think long term? And I'll be honest, that's not something that I'm an expert in yet. I think I'll be the first to admit I've been in FranDev roles where I've had to focus on what I'm doing now, or there's been other rebuilding processes, fundamental things like building interview grids that take priority, and that's okay. But can we at some point sit and ask that question?
Asking the right questions. That is such a big part of approaching things courageously, right? Is having the courage to ask the right questions, the hard questions. And I don't know if you'd agree, but I find having that sounding board, having a trusted advisor, having a third-party organization come in that might be a subject matter expert in whatever problem it is that you're trying to resolve. Maybe if you want to increase representation somewhere, but you don't have any experience with the community that you're trying to reach, you don't just say, okay, well, nobody here has that experience, so never mind. Never mind. We're not going to say we're never going to expand into Quebec because we don't have anybody here that speaks French.
That. We say the opposite. We say, and this is not necessarily true for the brand I'm with right now, but we don't say, oh, we're not in Quebec right now, so we're not going to expand in Quebec. We say the opposite. We say, we're not in Quebec. We have to go there. Why not?
We have to go there. Let's figure it out.
That's exactly what we say, right? Why do we work the opposite way sometimes?
Picky choosy. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that way of kind of flipping it.
You have to. And it's something that takes active presence, active reflection, taking a moment to slow down, even in those have to act now moments, and having, trusted advisors and people in your corner that can cheer you on and remind you of the commitments that you've made to the long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Accountability, right? Doesn't happen without it.
Oh, good talk.
Okay.